The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
Good morning. Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Donna Deere, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm serving today as your worship associate. I'm joined by our worship leader, Tanner Trask, whose pronouns are he, him, his. Tanner is serving as our intern minister here at Horizon. As we prepare for our service this morning, please be sure to check your order of service or newsletter for important announcements about congregational life. Now, let us join our voices in our responsive welcome. You'll find the words projected on the screen. To all who yearn for community, come in, be among us. To all who are just getting started, to all who long to go deeper, to all with tender places needing care, come in, be among us. To those who have healed and have care to give, for those who are curious and hungry to learn, for those who know that they have something to teach, come in, be among us. For the ones who are just beginning to suspect they might nurture others becoming, to the young and to the old, the innocent, the jaded, the fresh of mind, and the deeply steeped. There is room here for each and every one. Come in, be among us. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, no matter who you are, the people you love, how you look, what you can and cannot do, you are welcome here just as you are in this community of care and concern. Come in, be among us. Welcome, and let us worship together.
Our call to worship this morning is from the Reverend Kim Mason. Once upon a time, chemists believed that they could transform lead into gold or death into life. We laugh, but are we also not in the business of alchemy? Turning loneliness into connection, pain into comfort, anger into solidarity, and faith into action. The subtle magic of church combines love with justice, creates hope out of fear, and transforms individuals into community. Here we engage in a holy alchemy, finding beauty in the ordinary and life in the present. Come, let us be transformed together.
Please join me in our affirmation, which is projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth. Thus do we covenant together. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn from our gray hymnal, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no care of and of despair. Come, yet again come.
You know, there have been a lot of scary things happening around our country, and this weekend, some of my colleagues, some of Reverend Chris's colleagues, and intern Minister Tanner's colleagues are up in a place called Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, to help the local community there. That community has come under a lot of harassment and violence and worse by the hands of our federal government. And in times like these, we might ask ourselves, well, what can I do? I'm 9 years old. I'm 99 years old. I don't have a lot of money, or maybe I don't have a lot of time. Well, I have a story for you that I think you're going to love, because it's going to tell you that everybody has something they can do. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead, settle in, maybe get your Afghan or cozy blanket on yourself, and let's go ahead and have a story. My story for you today is called We Are the Builders, and it's by a social scientist and activist who's named Deepa Iyer, and it's illustrated by Romina Golota. So let's go ahead and read the book together. And when we open it, we can see the title page, and the author signed this book, and it says, "For the children of Horizon UU Church, what roles will you play?" Welcome to our community day. Ready to find your role to play? My name is Ramla. I'm your guide. Follow me and stay by my side. So many grown-ups and kids are here. Everyone wants to volunteer. There's plenty to do in our town. Help new friends, plant trees in the ground. The time is now. Let's all play a part. Listen and learn. What moves your heart? We are the builders. We farm and forge, construct and fix, improve homes with nails and bricks. See these old desks, tables, and chairs? Good as new with some repairs. Who wants to join the builders? I bet you might. We are the caregivers. We comfort, console, soothe, and cheer. Care kits for all, near and dear. Acts of service and words that mend. How can I help my new friend? Who wants to join the caregivers? We are the frontline responders. We plan and protect, stay prepared. Storms brewing, but don't be scared. Stock cans of soup, bags of fresh fruit, gather warm coats, gloves, and boots. Who wants to join the frontline responders? Maybe you do. We are the disruptors. We declare, demand, demonstrate, call for change, don't hesitate. Raise our voices, banners and beats, march out in the streets. Who wants to join the disruptors? We are the experimenters. We scan, invent, and improvise, solve hard problems with fresh eyes. What if these used bottles and rags could become backpacks and bags? Who wants to join the experimenters? We are the visionaries. We dream, imagine, and inspire a world we all can admire. Fresh air, clean water, safe and free, bright futures, that's what we see. Who wants to join the visionaries? Maybe you do. We are the weavers. We stitch, we braid, we intertwine. Common threads link hearts and minds. When people fight or disagree, find what connects you and me. Who wants to join the weavers? We are the healers. We renew, restore, and relieve. tend to those who cry and grieve. Sometimes when the world's too much, we nurture with breath and touch. Who wants to join the healers? We are the storytellers. We sing, we dance, we create art, bring joy and love heart to heart. Vibrant murals preserve our past. History's cherished at last. Who wants to join the storytellers? Maybe that's your team. Of the different roles to play, which one feels like you today? You could become a guide like me. Show new folks what they can be. We mentor, we advise, we steer, share wisdom, honest and clear. Now that it's clear what we each can do, we want to hear from all of you. What role would you choose? Who would you be? How will you change your community? And when we go to the back page, we can see this flower design. And what it is, it's called the social change ecosystem. In the yellow part, there are the words equity, liberation, justice, and solidarity. And two of those are our UU values. And then around it, like the petals of a flower, you could see all the different roles that people can play. And do you notice how there's not one role that's bigger than another? That's because they're all very important. So I wonder, as we close today, what role or roles would you play? So thank you so much for listening to this book. It's in our library if you want to check it out. And we will see you the next time.
Our offering words are by Kristen Collins. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Thank you to our members and friends who give and pledge electronically. You can still donate online via Breeze. We will be converting to our new platform, Realm Connect, in the coming months. You can also give online at horizonuu.org/donate. Thank you for your generosity. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our offertory hymn from our gray hymnal, number 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing for our lives.
We are separated from each other today, but we are not alone. There are joys and sorrows to be shared in community. Some will wait for next Sunday when we are physically together again. This is a more public space than we are used to, but if you have a joy or concern that you would like to share in the chat, please do so now. I will light a candle to hold our collective joys and sorrows, and I will share one of my own. It is a joy and a sorrow all in one. It is a joy to me that so many clergy, including those from our faith, have traveled to Minnesota to help stand up to ICE. It is a sorrow to me that the situation exists in the first place. I wish for them to be witnessed, and I pray for their safe return home. Please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer in whatever way feels right, with words from the Reverend Michelle Collins. Spirit of community, source of renewal. Some days our hearts beat with fire, plan making, chanting, moving, imagining. Other days the spark barely flickers. The work seems endless, but we are not. Help us honor the cycle, the surge, the setback, the pause. Teach us to rest without guilt, to act without self-righteousness, to remember that resistance too lives in laughter, in tenderness, and in song. May this gathering refill what the world drains, so we can return again to the work, still imperfect, still alive, still willing.
I believe in the power of giving. I believe in the power of change. I believe in the power of differences. I believe in love. Love is at the center. At the center there is love. Love is at the center. At the center there is love. I believe in the power of justice. I believe in the power of fairness. I believe in the web of life. I believe in love. Love is at the center. At the center there is love. Love is at the center. At the center there is love.
A reading by Kurt Vonnegut. On the subject of burning books, I want to congratulate librarians, not famous for their physical strength or their powerful political connections or their great wealth, who all over this country have staunchly resisted anti-democratic bullies who have tried to remove certain books from their shelves and have refused to reveal to thought police the names of the persons who have checked out those titles. So the America I love still exists, if not in the White House or the Supreme Court or the Senate or the House of Representatives or the media. The America I love still exists at the front desk of our public libraries.
There can be no
It's exhausting, isn't it? What's happening in Minnesota, what happened in Chicago, what will start happening in Dallas. Kidnappings, murders, all by the federal government. And when they aren't killing us or abducting us, they're making it harder for us to vote, to exercise our right to decide who gets these sacred positions of authority and trust in the first place. And so much of this isn't new. We've been hearing about these assaults on our democracy for decades now. And it keeps happening. And it keeps getting harder to vote, and it keeps getting harder to speak to our elected officials. It's exhausting, isn't it? And I don't know. If you can't beat them, join them. Well, no, we're not joining them. We're not joining them. But hey, Horizon, can we be bad? Should we be bad, like, just once, right? And if, like, these people want to tear apart our democracy, why don't we give it a try? This next part is theoretical. It's mostly a joke. I don't actually want to tear apart our democracy. I'm a good you. We're just doing like a thought experiment here. We're brainstorming, we're tossing around ideas, seeing what sticks. So, how can we destroy a democracy? Now, we could take the easy way out and invade with an outside army, take over the country and impose our own form of rule. It's certainly how plenty of democracies have died in the past, like the democracies in South America that elected leaders that the United States government didn't like. But if we're going to be bad, I want to do it with some style, with some panache. You can destroy a democracy without throwing a single punch. You can do it completely non-violently. Well, sort of. You're not going to have to punch anyone. I'm not going to have to punch anyone. But in the process of tearing apart this democratic system, we may need to dismantle some of the social safety nets that are in place. And that would harm a lot of people. It's not something that we consider a form of violence in America, but government policies that limit aid, limit health care, limit food, that's all a type of violence if you think about it. People get hurt and people get killed. Which brings me to the why. Why should we destroy this democracy? Well, I mean, at this point, why not, right? Wouldn't it be easier to help everyone if we were in charge? We could take the vast fortunes of the United States, the richest and most powerful country in the history of the world, and we could house the houseless. We could feed the hungry. We could heal the sick. We could get them to redo the last season of Game of Thrones. Okay, well, maybe we don't need to do all of those, but what a world, right? I mean, if we could just ignore all of the people that don't agree with us, what kind of a utopia could we build? Okay. So we're destroying this democracy so that we can replace it with a better form of government where only we're in charge and we will make sure that everything is better, obviously. And we're not going to do it by invading with an outside force. No. Where's the fun in that? We're going to destroy this democracy by using democracy. We're going to vote it out of existence. And hey, what's more you than that? So what's the first step? Well, first, we need to define us and them. And for this thought experiment, let's keep it easy. Let's say that yous are the us and that everybody else is the them. The second step is we need to start carving up everyone else into smaller pieces. We just pick one or two groups at a time and we'll label them as other, as enemy, as non-human, right? Now, we all know what kinds of people have been labeled other in the past. And I think we yous are better than that, so we're going to pick entirely new groups. And it doesn't really matter who they are. It never has. But right now, there are more of them than there are of us, and we need to reduce the number of thems so that we can legally take over. So to start with, we're going to need a group that isn't very big, but that we can still villainize. These villains need to be weak enough for us to win a political battle against, but they need to look strong enough or maybe weird enough to be seen as a threat. Oh, people who own lizards. I mean, why don't you have something normal and American like a dog or a cat? So if we can criminalize lizard ownership and then remove due process from lizard owners, and then we could get people to report their neighbors if they suspect them of owning lizards. And at that point, even being suspected of owning a lizard can get you in jail. But what if they can prove they never actually owned a lizard? Well, good luck proving anything when you don't have a right to an attorney or a right to a trial. That's due process, baby, and you ain't got it. Now I know what you're thinking. What happens when we lock up all the lizard owners? That's not enough people to guarantee us a majority yet. Not to worry, we'll just pick a new target. Bird owners. So bit by bit, we carve more people out of the category of them. We create wedges politically, socially, religiously. We teach our children not to trust lizard owners or bird owners or fish owners. We make movies about how these outsiders want to destroy our perfect society of normal dog and cat owners. We pay newscasters, podcasters, even any AM radio stations that are left to demonize them. And if they want to keep their broadcasting license, they better play ball. Okay, so eventually we'll have enough votes to disenfranchise the rest of them. They're criminals after all, so they shouldn't get to vote. Only UUs will get to vote. Only UUs will get to vote. And then we'll vote ourselves into power. At that point, we can get rid of the pretense of democracy. So we'll need someone to lead, I guess. Could be any of us. So for this thought experiment, how about me? And I mean, you'll still be able to vote, of course. You're UUs. We know you'll make the right decisions. We know you'll vote the right way. Because if you don't, I might end up hearing a nasty rumor about how you've been hiding lizards in your house. Whew. Whew, that escalated quickly. Maybe it isn't that fun to be bad. Maybe it isn't so fun at all. But if those tactics sounded familiar, that's on purpose. Because these tactics have been used to destroy one democratic society so far. Those were the tenets of a German political philosopher from the 1920s that influenced how Hitler and the Nazis rose to power. Now, you know me, I'm a very pro-citation kind of guy. If I'm quoting someone or referencing them or sharing their ideas, I'm going to give them credit. But this time, I'm going to leave it at that. I don't feel like saying his name into a microphone. If you really need to know who the guy was, we'll talk later. So his idea was to find a minority group, any minority group, and target them until they aren't part of the community anymore. You push them out of the community so far out that they don't count as Germans anymore. And eventually they don't even count as people. You know the groups they chose. Jewish people, Roma, people with disabilities, trans people, and more. In fact, if you've seen the famous pictures of the Nazi book burnings, you probably saw the burning of the Institute of Sexology in 1933. That was where all the most up-to-date research and knowledge on trans people at the time was being done. So, targeting trans people isn't anything new. Now, maybe some of you weren't thinking about the 1920s and 1930s in Germany. Maybe some of you were thinking about last year, or last month, or last week, right here in the US. Yeah, me too. But what can we do? We're just one small church in Carrollton, Texas. I mean, well, we are a UU church, though. And if the tactic to dismantle our democracy is something so simple as just carving off a group and then pushing it away until they're not human anymore. That kind of feels like we're the perfect remedy to that, right? Because what do we do here but build community? We don't push people out of community, we invite them in. Radical welcoming, not tolerating differences, but celebrating them. Building the kind of community we're building here at Horizon is resistance. So what specifically does that mean? Because building community is kind of vague, I'll give you. The bad news is that none of us can do everything. The good news is there's so much to do that we can all chip in. Some of us can go to protests, city hall meetings, or knock on doors election time, sure. That's what a lot of people think about when we're talking about political resistance. And that is part of political resistance. But there is more. There's more that we can do to build a community. We can organize a karaoke night. We can share food at our potlucks or by getting lunch together after service. We could even just make someone a nice hot cup of tea or coffee or hot chocolate. And that's community building. And if you want to help build Horizon's community in this little pocket of Dallas County, we have a ton of committees that would love your help. Our garden is going through some amazing changes. Religious education for both children and adults can always use a few more hands, and our little free pantry always has room for a little more. Speaking of coffee, helping set up the coffee, make it, and clean up after church, that also helps build community. And we can always use ushers and greeters to help welcome folks in. We need radical welcomers to be radically welcoming. And I know that we're all busy. We're all caught up in so much that's going on in our lives. How and why can we even add anything else to our plate? Well, at Horizon, we have people gathering to get lunch after the service. We have this wonderful local artwork on the walls of the sanctuary. We've got board game nights, theology on tap. We've got Celebrate Horizon in a couple of weeks. That's going to be fun. And we'll be celebrating the life of Dan Crane. And sure, all of that builds community, but does it really help? Does that count as resistance? Will that somehow save our democracy from the people trying to take it away? It all seems like such a big problem. Can something this small really make a difference? Good questions. And I promise you that it can. A lot of you have heard the story of the Sharps, the married couple that went into Nazi Germany in the 30s and created the Unitarian Service Committee to help get Jews out safely. There was also the Reverend Leon Burkhead's Friends of Democracy that was instrumental in uncovering U.S. religious figures and politicians that were being paid by the Nazi Party to support German propaganda in America. But I'm going to tell you a different story today. And this one, as far as I know, didn't involve any Unitarians or Universalists. But it is a story about how building community and inviting people in saved thousands of lives in the middle of World War II. Now, most of the stories we hear of Nazi-occupied Europe are very similar. The tanks roll in, and soon after, the local populace is eagerly giving up their Jewish neighbors to the Gestapo. I mean, we all know the story of Anne Frank and her family, right? So, in one country, things went a little differently. In Denmark, local leaders were warned ahead of time that Germany was going to start rounding up all the Jews in Denmark. This began a campaign thrown together at the last minute by so many people in the country to get all of the Jewish people in Denmark over to neutral territory in Sweden. Now, there's too many stories of this time period to tell, so I'm going to stick to two of them. One features the actress Greta Garbo, a silent movie star who successfully made the transition to talkies in Hollywood. She knew Sweden needed to officially commit to taking the Danish Jews as refugees because the United States wouldn't. And we can talk about how the U.S. government treated Jewish people during World War II another time. But she was able to get the famous physicist Niels Bohr an audience with Sweden's king. Sweden had agreed to get Bohr to the United States so he could work on the Manhattan Project, from the Oppenheimer movie, but he refused to leave until Sweden publicly committed to taking in Denmark's refugees, and the king agreed and made a public statement that they would do so. And the other story comes from the Catholic Church in Denmark. The bishop sent out official letters for all the ministers to read. I'm not going to pronounce this perfectly, but it was a Hyrdebrev that commanded all good Christians in Denmark to assist their Jewish neighbors in fleeing the Nazis. Quote, wherever persecution of Jews is raised for such a racial or religious reasons, it is the duty of the Christian church to protest against it. Regardless of deviating religious views, we will fight for our Jewish brothers and sisters to preserve the same freedom that we ourselves value more than life. And there are so many other stories. Stories of the middle class and working class collecting the needed money to buy passage on any and all ships that could make the journey to Sweden. Stories of people hiding their neighbors and helping their children and doing everything they could to do something. And of the 8,000 Danish Jews that lived in Denmark before the outbreak of World War II, 7,500 were evacuated to Sweden. Of the 500 or so that were left behind, 400 did get arrested by the Germans. But Denmark's government pressured the Germans for constant news and updates on their health and status through the Red Cross, and they managed to keep any of them from being deported to death camps like Auschwitz. And at the end of the war, 99% of all Danish Jews had survived. And you know the numbers across the rest of Nazi-occupied Europe. This only happened because so many Danish people came together and said that these are our people. They are of our community. They are of our community. They are not other. They are not separate. They are not them. They are us. So I promise you that community matters. I promise you that the work you do matters, that the work we do together matters. Horizon needs you. Carrollton needs you. They need us all to be a place where people can gather, where we can invite people and welcome them in, where we can play games together, break bread together, laugh and cry and sing and celebrate and mourn, and yeah, even worship together. So when our government tells us that we need to be scared of trans people, we can say no. We know them. They belong here with us. When we're told that criminals don't have rights, we can say no. Everyone has rights. Everyone deserves due process. And when we say everyone, we mean everyone. When we're told to report our neighbors who are suspected of being, well, you know, we can say no. We don't give up our own. So to our longtime members, our new members, our friends, our visitors, and to anyone in the community who is being pushed out by our local, state, or federal government, anyone that is being labeled as other, I say, you are not a them. You are not an other. You're us. So be welcome, rejoice, and come in. Blessed be, may it be so, and amen.
The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. We do this because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. I would like to invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 318 in the gray hymnal, We Would Be One.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Our benediction is by the Reverend Scott Taylor. May compassion lead us closer to the broken and brokenhearted. May that proximity prove once again that we all suffer as equals. And may those shared struggles give us the courage to act, not just feel, to confront the cruelty, not be numbed by it, to protest, not just offer prayers. May the tenderness of our hearts, friends, make us fierce about fixing the world. We take the fire within us and share that with others as we go. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.